Alright, hello and welcome to the Struggle Bus.
Yay!
We're having a rough time, because first we were unable to light the candle. And then, be careful because it's there now.
My hair is like wild. That's not going to work. That's better.
There. First we couldn't light the match. And then we couldn't get the phone to stay on the tripod. So I have taped my phone to the tripod using packing tape.
We spent more time trying to get that phone up than this is gonna take.
Yeah, and we get to go back into this dumpster fire today.
Yeah.
If this is your first time, we've been going through this Lord of the Rings, like, kind of alternate universe fan fiction that I wrote when I was 14.
So now it's an alternate universe.
Well, I think it's an alternate universe because this definitely doesn't happen in real life.
I mean, it definitely is not.
It's basically a continuation of what happened after Lord of the Rings that I wrote. It's like self-insert garbage, hot garbage. It's really bad. So far, what's happened?
Well, Lillian, your main character, just got stabbed for no apparent reason, because of this ring, which we still don't know why it's so important. And she got stabbed and then she died for approximately 2 pages. And then she came back to life with this magical wish liquid that someone actually remembered. Martin actually remembered this time. And it wasn't explained, but it brought her back to life. So that's where we are now. Now they're like leaving again.
Yep. It's like, well, that was a fun misadventure. Let's keep going.
I just realized I have matches.
Okay.
So I remembered them. They're sitting with me.
Oh yeah, and Eli is secretly like a Hobbit serial killer, right?
Yes.
He's not actually, but this is Clay's headcanon.
Because it makes sense. He's like, oh, this ring is magical. You need to destroy it. And then he's luring these practically children away. And now he's gonna accidentally murder them. Or he's gonna get them to trust them. Then he's gonna murder them and take the ring. For the villain. It would have been genius. But no.
Alright, we're gonna read this. It's rough, but we're having a good time.
We should get a match company to sponsor us.
I don't think match companies do that.
I mean...
Alright, here we go.
If you know a match company...
Hit us up. Let's actually read the story now.
Yeah.
God, I don't want to.
I don't either, but we're going to do this because you dragged me here.
For the internet.
It's for the internet.
You're invested now. You're in this with me. Whether you like it or not.
Great.
Alright. Chapter 7. Unnatural Cold.
Wait, okay, I thought you said unnatural cold. I'm like, so now Lillian has a cold as well.
Not natural cold.
Like, maybe it's from the wish liquid. Poison. I don't know.
Alright, their travel was a little bit easier for most of that day, with no one seeing any orcs, but the ash path ended at around tea time, and that was when the company discovered why the orc territory was so cold. It was because on the other side of the territory, there was a forest that looked like winter's resting place when the other seasons were taking place. In fact, that's what it was, but they didn't know that. That's not Middle-earth canon, but it's fine. The clouds from the orc territory continued over the forest, but now a heavy snow fell from them. The snow was the cold, dry type, and large, almost as large as Lillian's thumbnail. The snow on the ground was about waist deep for the hobbits and knee deep for Eli.
Are you saying that she's got a large thumbnail?
Well, I see, like, your thumbnail. That's a pretty big snowflake.
Okay. I forgot what it was you were describing.
Almost invisible wind blew through the forests, making the naked trees shake and twist, throwing off the snow on their limbs in vain. For as soon as one flake left a branch, at least 5 more took its place. Behind those trees, there was no other sign of life. The storm was especially bad at the moment because winter was coming and the forest was preparing for the reveal.
Game of Thrones fans.
I know,
Crazy.
winter is coming. Lillian pulled her cloak tighter around her and shivered at the sight of the snow getting dumped out of the clouds. Agella bit her lip and pulled her hood up. Margin looked at Lillian and said, "On your mark, Miss Lillian." Lillian took a deep breath, pulled up her hood, and nodded. Margin pulled his hood up and led the pony into the forest. Macon and Agella followed them, Macon pulling on his gloves and hood, and Elot brought up the rear.
You know, maybe if you, like, I know you consider yourself an action writer and you love conversations, but this book would not be half bad if it was all your descriptions and none of the talking.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Because your conversations are just, they don't make sense. It's something someone will say something that just doesn't work. So, yeah.
I'm going to take that as a backhanded compliment. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
As soon as the pony crossed into the forest, Lillian felt freezing. The snow howled and beat against her, flying into her face and eyes and sticking onto her wool cloak. Lillian pulled her cloak around her as tight as it would go without tearing and stuck both hands in her one glove. But did she lose a glove somewhere? I think so.
Wait, when?
What?
Maybe when she was dead?
Maybe.
When did she lose a glove?
No, I found it! She was sitting on Agella's cape and the place where Lillian's head had been was bloody. She was missing a glove. So she did lose a glove. I just forgot.
Oh, look at you.
Look at me with my
came
continuity.
back with it.
Lillian pulled her cloak around her as tight as it would go without tearing and stuck both hands in her one glove. But doing both of these things didn't help very much. Forest was a cold white canvas waiting to be painted with spring colors, but it would never get the chance, locked away forever in a forgotten storage room. It was extremely hard to see through a wall of white snow coming at them as the wind was blowing toward the company. "Maybe we should find a way around," Agella shouted over the wind's howls. To Lillian, Agella sounded distant, as if she were a mile away.
They're going to go through like a cave.
"There's no other way around," Elot shouted back. "This is the only way." "Is there something you could do?" shouted Macon. "Not for something like this," Elot replied. Wow, super helpful. It was extremely hard to walk. There was no path to start with, and the wind was blowing so hard that every step they took, the wind pushed them back too. After half an hour of walking, they could still see the beginning of the forest behind them, and they were so covered in snow that they looked like cold, wet pillows. But this was the least of Lillian's problems, and a natural cold was spreading through her. There's the title of the chapter. Starting from the place where the wound was on her chest and coursing through her body. Finding places to settle where Lillian hadn't even realized could be cold. That brings up some frightening images. The cold of the forest was a summer's day compared to what Lillian was feeling. She was trembling and shivering with it, and she felt like her skin was completely blue and covered in ice. Every move that she made felt like an icicle had been fashioned into a sword was piercing her, making her even colder. She tried her hardest to stay conscious, but the cold was finding a way into her head. Finally, exhausted and freezing, she stopped resisting and fainted off the pony and fell face first into the snow.
I think they should leave her. She's been too much of a burden.
She's too much.
Okay, she just died.
She's too much work, honestly.
She's too much work. Take care of yourself, Lillian. Take a sick day. Why did they leave immediately? What? Why? I don't understand. Because unlike the Lord of the Rings, they're like, let's stay here for a week. There's no rush.
I don't know.
Literally. Like every place they go, they're
I needed to get through this quickly,
time.
so I could get to the good stuff.
Get to the zesty things.
Agella was the one who saw Lillian faint off the pony first. "Stop!" she screamed, dropping to her knees.
Hey, Lillian! I know you're fainting, but stop it!
No, I think she's yelling "stop" to
Oh.
the rest of the company.
Guys, we need to stop. Lillian has turned into a ragdoll again.
Lillian's probably dead again.
Lillian died again. Ooh.
Her lips, cheeks...
That would be so funny if the wish liquid only brought you back for a little bit.
Or like if it's like the pill in The Princess Bride where it like kind of only halfway brings you back. Because like in the book, Wesley can't ever like use his arms and legs, can he?
No, not really.
Yeah, or like he's barely able to stand
Maybe a
up
bit
in the
in the
movie.
second book,
So I think Wish Liquid is just like the pill from The Princess Bride.
It should be. That would be great.
It's like, did you ever read the book Half Magic?
The Princess Bride, yeah, I did.
It's like Half Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in Half Magic, this story is basically they find like a nickel or something. These like kids that only grants half of a wish.
Half of
So if you wish the cat could talk, the cat can only talk gibberish. Or like if you wish that you were on a desert island, it would take you to a desert. So if you wish you were back alive, you would only be back alive for a little bit, or like just your brain function.
So then you'd have to like wish it twice.
Yeah.
What if you wished it 3 times? What if you were like, I
Well,
wish
then
I
you're
was
immortal.
on, like, I wish I was on a desert island. I wished it 3 times. Then it would be like, where would they be? They would be on a desert island, and then what? There'd be like a special, like, beach hula party.
We're getting extremely off topic. I'm gonna start this paragraph over. Agela was the one who saw Lillian faint off the pony first. Stop, she screamed, dropping to her knees and rolling Lillian over. Her lips, cheeks, eyelids, fingers, and toes were a dark, bruise-like blue, and what little breath that came out of her mouth was in rattling clouds. Margin dropped next to Agela and took one of Lillian's hands. She's colder than ice, he said. He looked up. We have to find shelter. Right over there, Macon shouted back, pointing to a dark shape through the snow. It was a circle of pine trees, bending over a small area that, for the most part, looked like shelter from the storm. Margin and Agela carefully lifted Lillian and walked, pushing against the wind towards the trees. It took the entire company about 5 minutes to get there, but as soon as they entered the circle of the trees, it was worth the struggle. The trees stopped the wind and snow from entering the small area, making surprisingly good shelter. Margin and Agela carefully laid Lillian under one of the trees on some pine needles that were untouched by snow. She stirred a little, but did no more than that. Elot took off his overrobe and muttered some words into his staff. He tapped the robe, and instantly all the snow was gone from it. He laid the robe over Lillian, and he tapped each of the hobbits with his staff, and the snow disappeared from their capes and hair as well. The hobbits didn't really notice this change to them. They were too worried about Lillian. Everyone was thinking the same thing.
Why?
If
Just let her die.
Lillian died again. They didn't have any more wish liquid to use on her.
Wait, they don't?
No.
Nice, you wasted it all. We don't even know what it is.
Elot closed his eyes and sat motionless for a minute, then opened his eyes and said, "You all need something to eat. You've been through a lot today." This startled the hobbits, and they realized how hungry they were.
He's
And
fattening
how
them
they
up.
didn't have any, and how they hadn't had anything to eat since that morning. Despite being worried and cold, they managed to get some crumbled biscuits and dried fruit. It didn't help that the wind could still be heard through the trees, making them nervous and wary. I loved the word wary. We'll see how many different times the word wary comes up as well.
I like the word whereas.
Not the same, but
Thus.
thusly.
Is thusly a word?
Galdov.
I knew thusly was a word. I feel like I said thusly was a word and my friends are like, no, it's not. I'm like, yes.
My
thus.
favorite contraction of the English language is Yaldov.
What is y'all
You
do?
all would have Yaldov. I know, isn't it amazing?
Y'all do?
Yaldov.
Y'all do? Y'all would have?
You all would have Yaldov.
Y'all do? Have you ever, like, been talking to someone and they're, like, telling a story and and she says to me, or, like, I says, like, they say it, like, they don't say I said, they're like, so I says this. And I'm like, where did that come from?
I says to her, I says this.
Yeah,
like,
that's not grammar. I feel like it's a Western thing, like a Midwest thing. I don't know. Like, I feel like, I don't know. Off topic once again.
the light from the day was slowly beginning to fade away, making it colder than it already was. Finally got too dark to see. Elot muttered some words into his staff, and the tip started to glow and greenish color. lighting up the area they were in. Sleep, he commanded them. I will take the first watch. Agila lay down reluctantly,
It would be
facing Lillian just to see if anything happened. She closed her eyes and fell asleep almost instantly out of weariness. What a useless chapter. I mean, we got somewhere new, but like,
I mean,
what was the point?
it's kind of like It's kind of like Tolkien. Like Tolkien, I feel like all of his work, at least Lord of the Rings, you could just sum up in a couple words each chapter. Like you don't, like he goes into such great detail.
That's kind of true.
And I feel like a lot of the, like I said, like he'll have these giant paragraphs, and then the important thing will be like this tiny little like one sentence, and if you like blink, you miss it. And that was the important one, but it was stacked in with all this other stuff.
All right. Well, so this chapter was kind of dumb, but we talked a lot. Hopefully that was entertaining. If you liked this, I have an entire playlist of all of these videos, so you can check that out. And I'll link it in a card. Look at me being fancy.
It's a card.
It's either in that corner or it's in that corner.
Can it be on my face?
No, it can't, because it's the little eye icon.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Maybe if you stick your face up in the corner.
Ow!
There. And get this corner just to be sure. Well, the iCard will be on.
Really bonked my head.
The iCard will be on Claire's face. And yeah,
really
so I hope you guys are having a good time. I'm not, but
I'm pretending I am.
We're working through the cringe.
I honestly have no idea what happened in this chapter. I kind of spaced out.
It's okay, nothing important happened. Alright, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
We're just taking this thing off.
It worked! Oh gosh.